Have you ever felt intimidated or frustrated when dealing with aggressive people? You know that feeling in the pit of your stomach like you just want to disappear, or maybe you want to scream back? We've all been there. Well, it's time to take back control. Welcome to Edij Xperience, where we'll explore powerful strategies to handle aggression with calmness, confidence, and poise. We're going to unpack this together, step by step, so you can walk away feeling empowered, knowing exactly how to navigate these tricky situations. The first step to handling any situation is awareness. Let's talk about recognizing the red flags of aggression. Aggressive people often send subtle signals before they erupt, like a volcano about to blow. Maybe their voice gets louder, sharper, like a knife cutting through the air. Or perhaps you notice their body language changing. Clenched fists, a hard stare, that kind of energy that just feels off. And sometimes, it's in the words themselves. Harsh criticism, cutting remarks, interrupting you constantly. These are all signs that a storm might be brewing. But recognizing these red flags isn't about being afraid. It's about being informed, giving yourself a heads up so you can choose how to respond. When you can spot these red flags early on, you're already one step ahead in the game. You're no longer caught off guard, reacting from a place of fear or anger. You're prepared, centered, and ready to handle the situation with grace and strength. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Pay attention to those subtle cues, those red flags waving in the wind, because they hold the key to staying calm and in control. So you've spotted the red flags, you know something's up. What's the next step? It's all about staying cool, keeping your inner peace. Think of it like this. Have you ever noticed how a calm, still lake reflects everything around it with perfect clarity? But when a storm hits, the water gets choppy, murky, and it's hard to see anything clearly. That's what happens to our minds when we get caught up in someone else's aggression. We lose our clarity, our ability to think straight and respond effectively. That's why staying chill is so important. It's about keeping your inner lake calm and reflective, even when the other person is acting like a raging storm. Take a deep breath, nice and slow, and feel your shoulders relax. Unclench your jaw, soften your gaze. These small physical shifts can make a world of difference in how you feel. When you're relaxed and grounded, your mind can stay clear and focused, ready to handle whatever comes your way. Take a moment to center yourself, to find your inner calm. Visualize yourself as that peaceful lake, undisturbed by the storms around you. Because when you stay chill, you stay in control. In the heat of the moment, it's easy to react impulsively. But here's a secret weapon, the power of the pause. Just a simple pause, a moment of stillness before you react. Think of it like hitting the pause button on a remote control. Everything stops, and you have a chance to catch your breath, to collect your thoughts before you hit play again. This pause is magical. It can diffuse tension, prevent misunderstandings, and keep your emotions in check. It gives you a chance to step back from the situation, to observe it with a bit of distance. So the next time you encounter aggression, before you say or do anything, take a breath. Just one deep, cleansing breath. In that pause, ask yourself, what's really going on here? What's driving this person's anger? Often, aggression is a mask, a way of protecting hurt or vulnerability. When you can see past the anger, you can start to respond with more empathy and understanding. Remember, you always have a choice in how you respond. Setting boundaries is like drawing a line in the sand. It's about clearly communicating your limits and expectations, letting the other person know what you will and will not tolerate. Now, this doesn't mean being aggressive or confrontational. When you set boundaries with calmness and clarity, you're actually taking control of the situation and preventing it from escalating. Think of it like this. Imagine a beautiful garden. A garden needs boundaries to protect the delicate flowers from being trampled. Your personal boundaries are just like that. They protect your emotional well-being, your sense of self-respect, and they allow you to interact with others from a place of strength and clarity. Once you're clear on your boundaries, communicate them directly and respectfully. Use I statements to express your needs and feelings. For example, I feel disrespected when you speak to me like that, or I need you to lower your voice so we can have a productive conversation. Remember, setting boundaries is not about controlling the other person. It's about taking care of yourself, protecting your emotional space, and creating a safe and respectful environment for everyone involved. One of the most powerful tools you can have in your arsenal when dealing with aggression is empathy. That ability to step into someone else's shoes, to try and understand the world from their perspective, even if you don't agree with their actions. Now, this doesn't mean condoning their behavior or letting them walk all over you. It's about recognizing that behind the anger, there's often hurt, frustration, or unmet needs. And sometimes, just feeling heard and understood can be enough to de-escalate a situation. So, how do you practice empathy in the face of aggression? It starts with listening. Really listening, not just waiting for your turn to speak. Pay attention to their words, their tone of voice, their body language. What are they trying to communicate? What's the underlying message? Once you've listened, try to reflect back what you've heard. You might say something like, "It sounds like you're feeling really frustrated right now," or "I understand that this is important to you." Even if you don't agree with their perspective, acknowledging their emotions can go a long way in diffusing tension. Communication is a two-way street, and that includes active listening. When dealing with an aggressive person, asking questions can be a game changer. It forces them to slow down, to think before reacting, and it gives you a chance to understand their perspective, even if you don't agree with it. Think of it like this. Imagine you're trying to solve a complex puzzle. You wouldn't just start randomly putting pieces together, would you? You'd take your time, examine the pieces, look for clues, and ask questions to guide your progress. Well, communicating with an aggressive person is kind of like solving a puzzle. You need to gather information, understand their perspective, and find common ground to move forward. Avoid why questions, as they can often come across as accusatory and defensive. Instead, focus on open-ended questions that encourage the other person to elaborate, to share their thoughts and feelings. These types of questions can help shift the tone of the conversation from confrontation to collaboration. How can you control a conversation with someone who's aggressive and confrontational? It's not about controlling them, but the energy of the conversation. Imagine you're a conductor leading an orchestra. Each musician has their own sound, and you bring them together in harmony. You guide the tempo, volume, and flow. You can't control what they say, but you can influence the conversation's direction. One powerful technique is reframing. Reframing shifts negative comments to a neutral or positive light. For example, if someone says, "You're always so critical," reframe it by saying, "I hear you're feeling unheard. Can you tell me more about what's bothering you?" Acknowledge their feelings without agreeing with their assessment. You know that old saying, "You can catch more flies with honey than with vinegar"? It holds true in communication, especially with aggressive people. Matching their energy just adds fuel to the fire. It escalates the situation and makes finding common ground harder. Speaking softly disarms the other person and creates space for calm. Think of it like a gentle breeze calming a storm. The wind doesn't fight the storm, it softens its edges. That's the power of speaking softly. Be the calm in the storm. Lower your tone and speak with intention. When someone's coming at you with aggression, it's easy to take it personally, to let their words pierce your armor and wound your spirit. But here's the truth. Their aggression is often more about them than it is about you. Think of it like this. Imagine someone throwing a ball of mud at you. If you're not careful, if you're not paying attention, that mud will hit you square in the face, leaving you feeling dirty and defeated. But if you're aware, if you see it coming, you can simply step aside and let that mud sail right past you. That's what it means to detach. It's about recognizing that the other person's anger is not your burden to carry. It's their baggage, their unresolved issues, their way of dealing with the world, and you don't have to let it define you or your worth. Instead of taking their words to heart, try to observe them with a sense of curiosity. Ask yourself, what's going on in this person's life that's causing them to act this way? What pain or frustration are they carrying that's spilling out onto me? Sometimes, despite your best efforts, the situation just isn't getting any better. The other person is relentless, their aggression is escalating, and you're starting to feel unsafe or emotionally drained. In those moments, it's okay to walk away. Remember, you don't have to subject yourself to verbal abuse or emotional manipulation. You have the right to protect your well-being, both physically and emotionally. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is to remove yourself from the situation. But even in exiting, you can do so with grace and dignity. Avoid stooping to their level by responding with anger or insults. Instead, keep your cool, maintain your composure, and state your intention clearly and calmly. You might say something like, "I can see that you're upset and I'm willing to continue this conversation when we can both be more respectful. I'm going to excuse myself now, but I'm happy to talk later when things have calmed down," and then walk away. Don't engage in further arguments or justifications. You've learned so much about handling aggressive people. You've learned to recognize the red flags, to stay calm and focused, to set boundaries, to de-escalate with empathy, to ask questions, to control the conversation, to speak softly, to detach, and to exit with grace. But here's the bonus, the secret sauce that ties it all together, your mindset. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about the techniques, it's about the energy you bring to the interaction. Remember, staying calm is your superpower. The calmer you are, the less power their aggression holds over you. When you can maintain your composure in the face of their anger, you're not just protecting yourself, you're subtly influencing the entire dynamic of the interaction. When you believe in your own strength, when you know your worth, when you refuse to be rattled by other people's negativity, you become an unshakable force. So embrace your inner calm, cultivate it, nurture it, make it your default setting. Because when you approach these situations with a calm and confident mindset, you're not just handling aggression, you're transforming it. You are now equipped with powerful tools to handle any aggressive situation. Remember, it's a journey, not a destination. Be kind to yourself, practice these strategies, and watch your confidence soar. What's your biggest challenge when dealing with aggressive people? Share your story in the comments and let's create a supportive community where we can learn and grow together. And don't forget to subscribe to Edij Xperience for more insights on navigating life's challenges with grace and resilience. Until next time, remember, you are worthy, you are capable, and you've got this. Edij Xperience. Explore, engage, elevate.